Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janal Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Monday. Number 1, rising tensions with Iran after those attacks on oil tankers near the Persian Gulf.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the U.S. has unmistakable evidence that Iran is to blame, and he says all options are on the table when it comes to how the U.S. will respond, including possible military strikes.
Meanwhile, an official with Iran's nuclear program now says within the next 10 days, the Iranians will surpass a uranium stockpile limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal. Number 2, the Chinese government is closely watching what happens next after an estimated 2 million people protested in the streets of Hong Kong Sunday.
They're demanding Hong Kong's leader resign, even though a controversial extradition bill with the mainland has been suspended. Critics want the bill completely withdrawn, fearing it will be used to target dissidents and journalists.
Overnight, a leading activist for democracy in Hong Kong, Joshua Wong, was released from prison early and joined protesters outside a government building.
On to number 3, President Trump's campaign has cut ties with several polling experts.
It comes after the leak of internal polling numbers that reportedly showed the president trailing in key battleground states that he won in 2016. He told our George Stephanopoulos he doesn't believe those polls and said, quote, "I'm winning everywhere." We head to Florida for number 4. This story proves the motto, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. A man bought some property at an auction for $9,000.
Not bad. He thought he got the deal of a lifetime on a house, but he didn't read the fine print. The online auction was actually selling a strip of land that runs between 2 houses.
Yep, just that 1-foot wide strip of grass. Local government ran the auction and says the law does not allow refunds, so he's stuck with it.
And finally, number 5, a growing mystery in the sewers beneath Portland, Oregon.
Surveillance video captured groups of people climbing out of a manhole, like you see there. A store owner checked the video after seeing a random shoe in the street. A little more digging revealed this was the second time people climbed out of that manhole this month.
City officials aren't sure what those people were doing underground, but they have not found any signs of vandalism. They do call it a manhole.
Get out of the sewer, folks.
It's Morning America. The curls are back.
Good Monday morning, everyone. We begin with the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran after the attacks on oil tankers near the Persian Gulf.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo now says the U.S. has unmistakable evidence that Iran is to blame, and he says all options are on the table when it comes to how the U.S. will respond.
And that includes possible military strikes. ABC's Mona Kosar-Abdi is here with the latest. Mona, good morning.
Good morning, Janae. Good morning, Kenneth. As you mentioned, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says it is unmistakable that the Islamic Republic of Iran was behind the attacks on the tankers in the Gulf of Oman. But it appears that the entire international community has yet to collectively reach that consensus.
The Trump administration pointing to this video as clear and indisputable evidence that links Iran to brazen attacks on 2 fuel tankers in the Gulf of Oman. Pentagon officials say it shows Iranian Revolutionary Guard Patrol removing an unexploded mine from one of the tanker's hull. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the evidence is concrete.
It's unmistakable what happened here. These were attacks by the Islamic Republic of Iran.
U.S. Central Command adding the evidence also shows Iran attempted to shoot down an American drone like this one, monitoring one of the tankers on fire. Pompeo spending the weekend calling his foreign counterparts to garner support.
The world needs to unite against this threat from the Islamic Republic of Iran.
However, U.S. allies remain split about the allegations against Iran. Japan expressing skepticism, while Germany's foreign minister stating the video provided by the U.S. is not sufficient proof. Pompeo bristled at the remark, saying some countries, quote, just wish this would go away.
This was taken from an American camera. This is the stuff. This is the real data.
But UK officials say they completely back U.S. assessments. The Pentagon is reportedly considering sending around 6,000 troops to the Gulf region. Over the weekend, Pompeo would only say all options will be looked at.
And we will always do the hard task it takes to protect American interests wherever they are.
Iran's foreign minister denies the U.S. accusations. Now, Saudi Arabia says it agrees with U.S. intelligence and says it will not hesitate to deal with the threat to its country's interests. Janae, Kenneth?
Mona, thank you. We appreciate it.
And facing pressure from the U.S., Mexico is reinforcing checks to curb migration flow. Authorities have been checking identifications and pulling migrants off public transports. On Sunday, 4 trucks packed with hundreds of migrants were intercepted. The National Migration Institute says 791 people were taken to a migration facility, and the drivers of the trucks were arrested.
An 8-year-old boy is recovering from a shark attack while swimming off the coast of North Carolina. Authorities say the boy was near Bald Head Island when the shark grabbed him by the leg and left several puncture wounds. He was rushed to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. The type and size of the shark is unknown. This is the third shark attack off North Carolina this month. In one case, a teenager lost her leg. 3 attacks were reported during all of last year in North Carolina.
Also in North Carolina, a boy is speaking out after using a machete to defend his family's home against an intruder. Police say 11-year-old Braden Smith was home alone when the suspect entered the house through a window. Braden says he told the man that he shouldn't steal from people, and then Braden took action.
He went into the living room to grab my phone to make sure I didn't call the 911 or anything. When I saw him try to put it in his pocket, I grabbed my machete off of my wall and went to hit him. And I hit him in the back of the head, like right here.
The suspect suffered a bad cut to his head and is now in police custody. Braden says he normally uses the machete to cut down trees. He says his dad taught him to protect himself, and he was hesitant but not scared.
Now to the chase that brought the nation to a halt 25 years ago today. 95 million people watched live as a convoy of police cars followed O.J. Simpson in his Ford Bronco.
Simpson would later be charged and acquitted for the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman.
And now Simpson is turning to social media to, quote, set the record straight. This morning, O.J. Simpson making his digital debut.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly. Now, coming soon to Twitter, you'll get to read all my thoughts and opinions on just about everything.
The Football Hall of Famer is now on Twitter, giving followers a hint of what they can expect.
You know, for years, people have been able to say whatever they want to say about me with no accountability. But now I get to challenge a lot of that BS and set the record straight.
And then this cryptic message.
This should be a lot of fun. I got a little getting even to do.
In another video, Simpson addresses the long-standing rumor that he's Khloe Kardashian's biological father.
All of these stories are just bogus.
Simpson says he was never romantically involved with Khloe's mother, Kris Jenner. At the time of his trial, Jenner was married to O.J.'s friend and lawyer, Bob Kardashian.
The simple facts of the matter is she's not mine.
We really don't know where he's going. He may just be driving endlessly if he is threatening to kill himself.
Today marks 25 years since the infamous white Bronco chase, before Simpson was charged in the murders of ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. He was tried in what became known as the trial of the century and found not guilty.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Simpson was convicted on unrelated robbery and kidnapping charges in Las Vegas and spent 9 years behind bars. Now a free man, he says he'll be tweeting about everything from sports to politics. His lawyer tells ABC News Mr. Simpson is the most positive person I've ever met. He's also very well informed on current events. He will not be negative, nor will he comment on the LA thing. As for who he's following online, so far only 8 accounts, most of them sports related.
For now, let me just say to my fellow fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Simpson was found responsible for the wrongful deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman in a civil suit, but he appears to be trying to put the past behind him, telling the Associated Press, the subject of the moment is the subject I will never revisit.
Meanwhile, the first Mass was held at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris since its catastrophic fire. The Archbishop of Paris and everyone else in attendance wore hard hats because of possible falling debris. The Mass was held Saturday, which marked 2 months to the day since the fire. One priest who attended the Mass called seeing the destruction inside the cathedral a shock, but nice to know that they are back in there for Mass.
Well, coming up, millions take to the street in Hong Kong.
Why the city's move to suspend a controversial bill wasn't enough to appease protesters. After this. Welcome back. Now to the video raising questions about excessive use of force by police in Phoenix. A shoplifting investigation quickly escalated with officers pointing guns at a young family. Major differences are emerging between the police report and the video captured by witnesses. This morning, this family's encounter with police in Phoenix is the subject of a $10 million lawsuit claiming excessive force. 22-year-old Drayvon Ames and his partner Aisha Harper, a pregnant mother of 2, were stopped by police responding to a shoplifting call. The couple's 4-year-old daughter had walked out of a nearby dollar store with the doll without paying and without her parents' knowledge. At one point, an officer is filmed kicking Ames. Harper then hands her children off to a stranger before being handcuffed.
It was just a scary situation I never thought I'd be in. Traumatizing for me and my daughter.
In their report, the officers say they feared that she was hiding something or reaching for a weapon, writing that the couple refused commands. The couple was not charged with any crime. Appearing on ABC station KNXV, the police chief apologized and said the incident is under investigation.
We're running investigations. We're being transparent. Frankly, we're rolling out body-worn cameras much faster than we had been.
This morning, the Phoenix mayor is slamming police, saying there is no situation in which this is ever close to acceptable. The incident is also catching the attention of rap mogul Jay-Z. His Rock Nation company has hired high-profile attorney Alex Piro to work on behalf of the family.
Little girls around the world that probably picks up a toy or something and afraid of getting shot for picking up a toy or something they see in a store.
The police chief says there are more facts to this story, and the officers are on desk duty while the case is investigated. At the same time, the mayor is calling for a community meeting tomorrow.
Hundreds of thousands and perhaps nearly 2 million protesters marched through the streets of Hong Kong yesterday, even as the city's leader suspended the effort to pass a controversial extradition bill. ABC's Julia McFarlane is across the pond in the London bureau. She's been watching this story all weekend. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning, Kenneth. Good morning, Janae. Absolutely. So when the Hong Kong government announced that they would suspend this controversial extradition bill, clearly they hoped that that might stave off some of these mass protests that we've seen the last week. But I have to tell you, over the weekend, we were watching the pictures coming in from Hong Kong and just an incredible sea of people. We were watching these massive 6-lane highways across Hong Kong. There we are, slow-moving crowds for hours on Sunday. Police say that around 340,000 people took part. I have to say, I mean, we were watching these pictures streaming live over several hours. I think the organizers' estimates that there were more than 1 million, maybe even 2 million. It did seem like there were more than the police estimate of a couple 100,000. Joshua Wong, who you're seeing right now, he is a student activist who was one of the central figures in the 2014 protest movement. He has just come out of jail. He was jailed for a month for taking part in those protests several years ago, and saw that maybe he helped to boost the crowd numbers. He's seen as one of Hong Kong's first political prisoners because he and a number of other student activists, they were jailed simply for taking part in those protests back in 2014 known as the Umbrella Movement. Now, Chief Executive Carrie Lam, she put out a statement on Sunday saying that she apologized and that she understood the protesters' grievances, but she made no appearance. Protesters say that she was not contrite enough. Joshua Wong still calling for her resignation.
All right, and Julia, power has been mostly restored after just about all of Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Parts of those countries were also without power. Tell us about that.
Janae, this is an extraordinary story. Around 44 million people were without power in South America on Sunday. This is because of this big power grid that serves both Argentina and Uruguay was hit with an electrical failure. It caused trains to be halted. It caused traffic signals to fail. And this happened early on Sunday morning. The electricity supply company in Argentina called Edesur, that manages a lot of the energy providers for the country. It said that this was unprecedented. It said this is the first time something like this has happened across the entire country. Now, also what's interesting is that Argentina was preparing to go to the polls in an election, but Argentinian, one of the interior ministers, the energy minister, he said that we're not ruling out any possibility, but it doesn't look like it was a cyber attack. But an interesting timing to note there, but most initial analysis seems to point to an electrical failure of this power grid. But I mean, 44 million people without power. One thing that I've been looking for to see if there were any casualties, because you'd imagine if, hospital generators may have been disrupted or things like that. Haven't been able to find anything, but I expect we'll be hearing in the days to come what this cost.
Yeah, and Julie, we know some people who are casting their ballots had to use their phones to see those ballots. Julie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now let's get a check of our notifications, starting with a new world record. More than 600 divers turned up to clean up Deerfield Beach in Florida, breaking the record for the largest underwater cleanup.
That's quite impressive. Also, this right here, this adorable newborn gorilla being cradled, his mother's arms, looking adorable, cute
Very
there.
sweet. And then Mama gives the little baby a kiss.
Oh my goodness. And then this rare blue lobster has a new home. A restaurant found this 1 in 2 million crustacean and donated to the St. Louis Aquarium.
Because the Blues
Are
won
the
the Stanley
new
Cup.
NHL champs.
Yeah, and watch this hawk taking a ride on a car. You hear the person there saying, I mean, should we call animal control? Because that
Look,
hawk wouldn't move for about
You don't want to
15
fly
minutes.
all the time.
Mm-mm.
You just need a little ride.
Sometimes you just need a ride while you're being fly.
Whoa.
Yep.
She's back, and so are the curls.
Oh.
Hey, speaking of the curls, to the overwhelming response we've been getting to Janae freeing the curls.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean,
It's been great.
Yeah.
So, they reached out to me about this a couple months ago, and I was so excited. I hoped it would be impactful and enlightening and raise awareness to the fact that this isn't just a hairdo. And I was surprised how many people really had no idea that this was even a sort of a struggle for so many people. And the response has been amazing. A fellow reporter tweeted, representation is very important. Nothing feels better than meeting young girls who say, wow, she looks like me. Her hair is just like mine. Another mother wrote, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and we watch you every morning. I want her to see smart, confident female role models growing up. You're a great example. Thank you for representing curly girls. And, the part where I talk about the mom who reached out to me and said her daughter says, oh, Mom, she looks just like me. I still get really emotional when I see that because every kid deserves to see someone who looks like them on TV.
They do. And I think we can think of the person we saw in broadcasting when we were coming up and what really inspired us to go into this field. And I think about people here at this network every day, people who look like me. And they've been here from Deborah Roberts to Robin Roberts to all these folks who have just really paved the way in this TV news industry. And so for you, I'm really proud of you. It was revealing. I think it just showed the challenges so many face across this country when they just want to be themselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
So good job. Well done.
Well, coming up, the viral deepfake video targeting Game of Thrones fans.
Learn how you can identify these doctor videos after this.
Here's what to watch out for today. The Paris Air Show kicks off, and what's usually an upbeat celebration of aviation technology, but the grounding of Boeing 737 MAX jets has cast a cloud over the industry. Boeing CEO addressed the air show yesterday, saying the company made a mistake in handling the issue and promised transparency as they work to get the grounded plane back in the air.
And T.I. is lending his voice to a project aimed at stopping mass incarcerations. The rapper is teaming up with Martin Luther King Jr.'s home church in Atlanta, Ebenezer Baptist, for a 3-day conference to address the issue. Also, one of the men from the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five, is also part of this project.
Yep. And plus, don't forget to tune in to the Debrief for an update on all our top stories and the Briefing Room for a breakdown of the latest headlines and politics. This morning, there was a viral video that's been throwing Game of Thrones fans into a frenzy.
Season 8 had its share of critics, and now a new video has what appears to be one of the stars throwing some major shade at the show. Our own Game of Thrones superfan Will Gans is here to sort it all out.
Sort it out like Arya sorted out the Night King. Spoiler alert, but at this point you should know, okay? 1.6 million people have signed the Change.org petition to redo the last season of Game of Thrones, and now it seems like Jon Snow is on the same page. Or is he?
It looks like Jon Snow. It sounds like Jon Snow.
Time for some apologies.
But that's not Jon Snow. It's a deep fake.
A deep fake is an AI-generated piece of video content that presents itself as if it's a real video of a real person speaking.
So it seems like they're saying something they never said. This morning, it's happening in Westeros. Jon Snow himself seeming to apologize for Season 8 of Game of Thrones. The voice a near match to Kit Harington's.
I'm sorry we wrote this in like 6 days or something.
But it's not his. A deepfake just like this one, recently surfacing of Mark Zuckerberg.
The more you express yourself, the more we own you.
So how do you spot the fake in a deepfake? Step 1, check for blinking. The artificial intelligence builds a video based on previous photos of the famous person. And celebrities aren't often photographed with their eyes shut. so deepfakes have a hard time programming a convincing blink. Other signs? Blurriness in and around the face, but nowhere else in the video. Double chins or eyebrows. Something in front of the face, a hand or a food or drink, causing the video to blur. But in this case, an apologetic Jon Snow may actually help some White Walker-level angry GOT fans get over their Season 8 hang-ups.
Now, let's burn the script of Season 8.
Facebook released a statement about deepfakes saying we continue to look at how we can improve our approach and the systems we've built. Part of that includes getting outside feedback from academics, experts, and policymakers.
You know, hearing from Facebook is important. Yes, Game of Thrones, this whole parody thing was funny.
Silly, yeah.
But I'm thinking as we're heading to the 2020 election, there's so
serious.
much fake things out there on the internet that could dupe people. And so this is important to bring attention to as well.
And good takeaways from your piece, Will, about what you at home can think about and use to try to identify those deepfakes. And that brings us to the question of the day. Do you think you could tell the difference between a real video and a deepfake? Tell us in the comments or tweet us at ABC News Live. Of course, thanks to Will's piece. Hopefully now you can, but you'll probably be put to the test.
I mean, I haven't seen you guys blinking a lot. So you better, if you want to let people know that this is not a deepfake right now,
start blinking.
Start blinking away.
This is me telling you.
Look, some of the things, if you see something crazy that we say right here on this.
Anything that offends you, it's a deepfake.
It's a deepfake. It's a deepfake.
Totally.
All right. Thanks, Will. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.